Hey, this is Caden and Lindsay from Achievement Hunter bringing you Lindsay's top 10 favorite video games.
DS!
PaRappa the Rapper, a rhythm music game originally released for the PlayStation back in 1997, developed by Nana-On Shah.
Yeah, this is one of the first games I actually started playing with my family. I would visit my cousin in New York, and she introduced it to me, and that was one of my first experiences with video games in general. I was like, what is this? What is this game where you get to, sing along with the lyrics and kind of push the button combinations to complete the song? So that was a pretty sweet introduction, and I've always been kind of a musically savvy person, so I enjoyed that you had the control of the music and these enjoyable and silly characters. I enjoyed kicking, punching, turning, and chopping the door so I could use the bathroom. That was pretty fantastic. Nueve.
Castle Crashers, a classic arcade-style beat-em-up with RPG elements, released in 2008 as an Xbox 360 exclusive, now a multi-platform release.
My history with this, with Castle Crashers, isn't very extensive. It's pretty short. But I first started playing it with Michael whenever we were doing our Let's Plays for it. But I enjoyed the combat system. I enjoyed that you were able to customize your different characters. And honestly, I like the co-op. And, I'm all for beat-em-up games. I like a little hit and a little punch and tickle, if you know what I mean. And Jeff certainly knows, because I've beaten his ass dead or alive quite a few times. But I enjoyed the humor as well that came along with the game. I'm a pretty silly person, so a lot of the slapstick comedy that's played along with the game, combined with the combat, just made for a fun experience. Ocho.
Banjo-Kazooie. This 1998 classic was originally released on the Nintendo 64 and later re-released on the Xbox 360 after developer Rare was purchased by Microsoft.
I first started playing this when I was in third or fourth, which was pretty awesome. I was actually with my first friend ever. We would play together in her room, and that was my first introduction to Nintendo 64, really. So I enjoyed playing it back then, rediscovered it, obviously, with my wonderful husband. I'm sure you're familiar with his work. He kind of likes Banjo-Kazooie, too, so now I've been brought back into the world. I've been watching him play quite a bit, and, it's just got a lot of nostalgic feels for me. I enjoy it. I also enjoy the reliance on Kazooie. She's not just a companion, she's actually a pivotal character to the game. You need her to complete certain objectives. I like that. Siete.
Tales of Symphonia. One of the most well-known in the series and originally released in 2003 for the GameCube, this unique style of RPG was recently remastered and re-released for the PS3 alongside its sequel.
I used to play this up in my bedroom quite a bit on the GameCube, like a cool kid, but this is the first time I really got an experience with role-playing games, and just a game that was that lengthy. I'd played a lot of games that were shorter, or they were a little bit more level-based. Since this was so open-world and so expansive, it really got me into RPGs, genuinely. I mean, since it was such a big world and it was so expansive, it really got me into RPGs just in general. I thought the character customization was really great, and the party system that you had to rely on. You could walk around with Lloyd if you wanted to, do dual-wielding swords, but if not, you could trade out. It's your choice. Sace.
Mario Kart 8, the 8th installment in the well-loved Mario Kart series, released last year for the Wii U.
Who doesn't love a good round of Kart? Who doesn't love smashing your friends to death with a blue shell whenever they're in first place? I first played Mario Kart on the 64, obviously, and I used to like to play as Peach, and it was always a sweet little victory incentive for me when I played as Peach and I won, because then you got to taunt with Peachy's got it. So that's carried over now, and I play as Daisy, and I do a sweet Yahoo whenever I win. But I like Mario Kart 8 kind of for a lot of the new techniques that you can use to, I guess, compete with your friends. You can now go up on the walls whenever you're racing, which I think is fantastic. A lot of the boosts are different, and just a different character customization, like I mentioned before. You can play as so many more different characters. I personally like Daisy a little bit more than Peach, so I like that she's available now too. And I liked it better than Double Dash. I wasn't a big fan of the trading out, but, that's just my preference. Cinco.
Mischief Makers, a cult classic and unique platformer released on the Nintendo 64 in 1997. This was the first ever 2D platformer released for that console.
Along with Banjo-Kazooie, this was one of the first games that I played on N64, and I have to admit, when I first saw it, I was like, what on earth is happening here? Because there's all these faces you have to grab onto, and you're shaking things, going shake, shake, and you got to pick up gold diamonds, but I liked it a lot, and this was actually before I discovered anime, and I thought the style of the art was fantastic, along with the uniqueness of the game. I'd never seen anything like it before, so I could kind of introduce it to my friends, be like, check out this new thing that no one has ever heard of. So I kind of felt like a cool, I guess, like underground cult kid. Like I was selling the DVDs that were pirated. I was like, come here, check it out. Quattro.
Soulcalibur. Known as the first game in the series, though it's technically the second, this 3D arcade fighter was ported to the Dreamcast in 1999, then to the Xbox 360 in 2008, and is now available on iOS and Android.
Going back to me loving punching and kicking the shit out of people, Soulcalibur was one of the first fighting games I played with my friends, along with Mortal Kombat and Dead or Alive. So it was just the 4 girls hanging out at each other's houses, beating the crap out of each other. But I like Soulcalibur most because of the weapon customization with each individual characters. Obviously, with games like Dead or Alive, you have characters that are more aerial or focus more on their kicking abilities than their punching and vice versa. But here you have the elements of the bow staff brought in, you have shield and sword, and it's always pretty cool when you can play as Darth Vader or Link. Trace.
The Elder Scrolls Skyrim. The 5th installment in the Elder Scrolls series released in 2011. Upon its release, Skyrim easily became one of the most critically recognized games in the last decade.
This kind of has a little bit of a personal connection for me. This is one of the first games that I played with Michael, actually. And I used to watch him play it at his apartment before we were even dating, and that's kind of one thing that we bonded with. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. It's you can kind of choose if you want to dual wield weapons, and I like the first person aspect. I hadn't really seen a lot of different games, or I should say played games, where you're in first person view. It's usually a third person. I enjoyed how expansive the world was, like I'd said before with Tales of Symphonia, the ability to explore around and just kind of, discover what's going on. There's so many different side quests and missions you can go on. And again, I like kicking the crap out of things, so being able to behead people and ride around on awesome horses was pretty fantastic. Dose.
Super Smash Bros. Melee. The best-selling GameCube game to date and the second in the series, Melee was originally released in 2001 and is still regarded as one of the best in the series by fans.
Melee has a special place in my heart as far as Smash games go because of Roy. I miss Roy. I want him back. Roy was my boy. And Melee was the first Smash Brothers game that I originally played with my friends. I didn't even bother with the first. And I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of nostalgic factor for my game choices, but it takes me back to when I was playing with my friends, just hanging out in my bedroom, beating the crap out of each other. Uno.
The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Released in 1998 and known as the original 3D Zelda, Ocarina of Time marked a change in gameplay style in the series. Since its release, it's been ported to the GameCube, iQue, Wii U, and remastered for the 3DS.
This was the first Legend of Zelda game I had played, and I had seen my cousin playing some of the older ones, which, as you said, are top-down. So this is the first time that you have a 3D game. As much as Link's face was still pointy back in the day and his nose was kind of a triangle, I thought it was really realistic back then. I was like, my God, you're playing with this character who's so fleshed out, and the world that he's in is so complete. And as I'd said before, I love expansive games that are open world. There's a bunch of side quests, a bunch of different missions you can go on. I used to just ride Epona around, or Epona for some people. I would just ride around Hyrule Field for literally hours, just having fun and enjoying myself. So I enjoyed that. Also, as I'd mentioned in a quick draw, that was one of the first games that I played while my cousins would watch. So they would call me the hero of time and say, go rescue Princess Zelda. And I was like, I'll do it. I'll do it for you, cousins. No problem. I'll get the sword. We'll make this happen. Don't worry. I've got the emerald. I've got the sapphire. I've got the ruby. They're all in the Temple of Time. It's cool. Everything's good.
That wraps up Lindsay's top 10 favorite video games. Leave a comment and tell us what top 10s and top 5s you'd like to see in future episodes.